Hello and welcome to another episode of Unrequested with Rad and Shank. I'm Rad.
This Shank.
just Shank. You know, every week you do it different. It's like, it's Jay Shank, y'all. How y'all doing? And this Shank.
Oh my gosh.
So how's it going, Shank?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. So for this, like the first portion of this episode, what we want to talk, what we're going to talk about is something that, you know, we both are, and we're both fathers. And, I don't know, we were kind of trying to come up with a subject, and we were, you know, we always talk about being fathers, and it's like, well, then we should probably talk about it on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cause we're best friends and we talk about fatherhood all the time and, you know, our kids and stuff. And so, you know, why not kind of, broach it as a subject on the podcast?
Yeah.
So let's start with talking about like, when did you, or when you were a kid, did you see yourself being a father? Like, what I'm shocked is lately or recently, right? There's more and more people who don't want to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're like, well, I never saw myself having kids, and that's okay. Let me just be clear. Let me be clear. I have no issue with that. Like, not everyone wants to be a parent. I think that's great that you identify very early that you don't want to be a parent, or you don't, for whatever reason, you just don't want to, you don't have the tools to do it, you don't want to have to like be responsible for someone else, whatever the case may be. I want to say that as far back as I can remember, I always just saw myself as a parent. Like, I don't know if it's because I had there was four of us, and you know, I was around other people who had kids, right? Just kids. It just seemed like that's what you did. You grew up, you got a job.
Yeah.
And you had kids, and that was what everyone was supposed to do. So there was never a moment for me where I was like, oh man, I don't think I'm going to have kids. Like, it just never even was. I'll say this. I didn't even know that was an option. I didn't even know that you could not have kids. I was like, no, man, it's your responsibility to, keep moving the human race forward and have them raise these kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but as a kid, you're like, nope, you grow up, you get a job, and you have kids. And you raise them, and then they go do the same thing. And I mean, I know that sounds kind of, I don't know, silly, but I don't know, man. That's just what I thought. You know?
Yeah, for me, my thought process was, who else can look else like me? Like, I try to always think about, like, not wanting kids at first, but really just imagining what does an offspring for me and my partner, what would that look like? You know, what will this person be like? I was always curious about that, and always just sitting and just thinking to myself, like, dang, what would they be tall? Would they have my personality? Even features and things like that. So I was curious on that front. And then, you know, as you get older and you start to date, and, you know, me and Angie, we met, and once you build a trusting foundation with somebody, then that's when I start to venture into wanting kids and being able to build a family with somebody, with my wife Angie. And so it's a beautiful thing, man. And we're our own nucleus. You know, it's not too often where you have both parents in the home, raising that child together. So,
well, and I guess raising them together in a happy home, right?
Yeah. And
that's subjective, guys. Like, that's an opinion. You know, happiness can come in all kinds of shades, right? It could be, I was talking to a friend of ours, Craig, today. Yeah. And we were talking about, he was talking about his daughters, and he said, God, what was it? Something about wealth, health, and happiness, right? He said, for my children, I want to make sure I provide wealth, health, and happiness. And I said, well, dude, for me, it's like number one is happiness. You know, we could be poor, but if we're happy, you know, so it's kind of our responsibility to make that. Like, when you bring that stress home, right? Yeah. The stress of being poor, if you are, because trust me, we were poor.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and I could see it in my parents, but I don't know if they didn't talk about it. They tried not to talk about it in front of us, and they always provided. So, you know, you didn't think you were poor, but you were poor. And I remember my dad, there was times I'd hear my mom and dad arguing about money, but not so much. And then when they had a little extra, they'd buy us something. So you always thought, okay, they could provide. Yeah. But then, you know, you go to other people's houses and you see they got a little more than you, and you're like, oh, you know, or their mom. To me, you know, it was weird when I was a kid when I'd go to a friend's house and the mom was home. You know, because we were the latchkey generation, my generation, where we all went home from school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, oh man, you can come in and play Nintendo, but you got to be out of here. My mom gets home at 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or my mom comes home at 6. Whatever the case, both parents worked. So all
Yeah.
the kids most of the kids I grew up with, you know, none of the parents were home, right? We all went home by ourselves as little kids. But then there was once in a while, there's that random kid, and the mom was like a stay-at-home mom, and that was so weird. It was like, wait, what? Your mama doesn't work? Like, well, no, she's a housewife. What's a housewife, right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, you know, blue collar, man, like everyone worked. Mm-hmm. Both parents worked. Mm-hmm. How's that? I was like, man, your dad must have a great job, right? And still, you don't have a concept of money or anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was weird, but to talk about the past and the present and on that subject, I will say that back, let's say the golden era of the 50s and 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wife stayed home. That was kind of the thing. And the man had to provide for the household, and she took care of the household, right? As time goes on, you know, the economics of the situation change, and both parents end up having to work just to get by. Not to be like richer or have nicer things, just to get by, right? Yeah. Then Reaganomics, or whatever you want to call it, you know, 70s and 80s, you know, things are getting real tough. So then that's the generation I'm growing up in, and both parents have to work again to get by. And even then, they may need help. Or in my case, both my parents several times both worked 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's when the kids start to take care of each other and stuff like that, or themselves. And there's a lot of independence that grows from that. You know, there's a lot of jokes about Generation X, about how we're so independent, or we're used to being home by ourselves. And because, again, we're latchkey generation. Mm-hmm. But then it went back to recently, I'd say the last 15 years, you know, where I started to see a lot more stay-at-home mothers and wives, right? Mm-hmm. More housewives. And that was because of daycare, right? So daycare got so expensive that I had employees when we used to work together who was like, well, I'm going to quit my job because I basically work to pay daycare.
Yeah.
So it's not worth me working, because all I do is my check just pays daycare. So I might as well stay home, and we pinch a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So you're seeing more stay-at-home wives and mothers now because of that factor. So it's not because, you know, when one guy's making, the husband's making so much that he can support. Because, gosh, man, listen, like no one with a minimum wage job can survive right now, can have their own bills. It's just not the case. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I brought that up because that is actually kind of a situation that you found yourself in. Mm-hmm. You know, where you and your wife were working.
Yep.
So break it down for me, man. Let's go back. Like, take me back.
Yeah.
Okay, take me back. Let's go on the time machine. Let's get in the time machine. Like, how was it with your parents?
Yeah.
Right? And then now, when you and Angie sat down and were like, okay, you were both working, right?
Yep.
And it was before Bo was born.
It was before Bo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you decided that she was going to be a student and stay at home. Like, walk me through all of it.
Yeah.
Now, walk me through what you saw as a child.
Yeah.
Right. And then what did that have an impact on the decision you and Angie made together? Or was it like, no, as a current husband in my current relationship, I felt this was, however the process was. Like, tell me a story, man.
Yeah.
Because you do that. And I'll be honest, my wife and I never considered it an option. Like, we worked, Jennifer and I worked, always worked. And it was never an option that one of us would stay home. Because we came from working households, both parents worked, and we just couldn't imagine. And one time we sat down and a few times tried to do the bills, and we were like, how do we make that work?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I guess we just didn't really know how to get there at that time. And we raised 2 kids with both of us working, and me working 2 jobs consistently for 10, 12 years, 15 years. Always had a second job.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that never crossed us. It never became something that we felt we could legitimately pull off.
Yeah.
So I'm curious.
Yeah. Man, that's a really good question, because I know for me growing up, it was my mother raising 4 children by herself. She constantly was just working, nonstop. But she still made time for us, whether it be attending a game or just being home. My mother was very present. I remember she would even take us on walks just to make sure we walked straight and make sure we didn't drag our feet and pulled our pants up and hold our head up high and shake hands firmly. And so she fed into us, man.
So it was just, so at any point, and I apologize, man, if I don't know the story,
go
but were your parents both together at any point? In the household?
Yeah. So, my dad was in and out, and then shortly just out.
Okay.
And then after a while, when we were.
So you were raised by a single mother?
Yeah, pretty much. And then as far as I remember, I want to say I was either a 6th grader or a 7th grader when he came. When we started to see my dad.
Okay.
Which, by the way, being an adult now and thinking when I was a child, I didn't understand those dynamics.
Yeah,
I was just kind of upset, at my mother or upset at my dad or vice versa. But then being an adult and knowing situations that people go through and just saying, okay, I absolutely understand why, dad, maybe, my mom and dad didn't get along too well. There's some sort of situation there. I get it now.
Okay.
So like there's forgiveness on that front because I understand that now as an adult. Yeah. Trying to do co-parenting with kids, like it's difficult. I know people in situations.
There's 4 of you.
Difficult.
There's 4 of you. 4 boys.
4 boys.
4 boys.
Yeah.
So 4 boys, man. Like, was there a hierarchy? Like, how did your mom? Like, she's obviously she's working to support 4 boys. So when mom's not home, walk me through the house, man. Walk me through the house. It's
Jerome and Jamel. So Jerome, he's in his mid 40s. Jamel is like early 40s, and then Jason is 35, and I'm 34.
So you're baby Shank.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So baby I'm the Shank. Baby. I'm the baby of the baby, and Jerome and Jamel, they kind of led the ship because me and Jason was so close in age. You could practically just deem us as like twins. I mean, when you look at us, you're like, dang, you guys look almost exactly alike, So, but we're just a year apart. But Jerome and Jamel, they ran it. They ran it, man. They kept kind of everything under control, and then I appreciate them because they kind of had to grow up and be parents, so quick, and that's what we just had to do, at that time. So that's the background.
Right.
Going to the future with my wife.
Right.
So Angie, I remember when she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do with her career and what she wanted to focus on. And so she transitioned from, illustration of fashion to doing actual fashion, and then back to illustration, and then arts and photography, and then really fell in love with really arts and photography. And so with Angie, we had a conversation because I knew she wasn't happy at her job. She was there for 11 years. She was only hanging on to certain happiness, the people that she worked with and seeing like she was working for you. So like seeing you and other people. So she was lasting that way. But we had to have a conversation. I says, listen, I'd rather you have the opportunity to just do what you want to do and hone in on that thing. And if it takes you quitting your job, so be it.
Right.
That was the conversation.
And so that said, like finances.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
it was tight.
Well, yeah. And so, did I get like, you sit down with a spreadsheet and you're like, okay, listen, no more caramel macchiatos.
Yeah. No, we were actually, we were negligent. Yeah. We, even while we were going through, I'll take that back. So I'll say this. So when me and Angie, when we were dating, we were both working at the same place. Yeah. We were negligent on that front. But then shortly after, when we did have that conversation, we were kind of like still thinking we could just go out and eat all the time. But we found out real quick that we cannot have our cake and eat it too. Yeah. So then that's really, I appreciate that moment of realization on our finances because we snapped right into it.
Well, I have to imagine that by doing it prior to having a child, that you were already prepared when you had a child. Because I just did that in my head. I was like, oh, that's right. It was before Bo was born.
Yeah.
So you actually were able to kind of reel yourself in and understand how to survive off of your salary.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, okay, now we can just ease into, which makes it even easier because Angie was already not working, so now she could be home with Bo, which A, saves you a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
B, saves you so much peace of mind.
Yeah.
And Bo is just amazing. And why is that? Because his mother, and I don't want to say this because I come from a working household. Yeah. I come from, and I came out just fine. Jennifer came out fine. Mm-hmm. Our kids came out fine. So I'm not saying that, if someone else is raising your kid. No. But the opportunity that Angie had to, and then she does everything from scratch because she is home. Like she makes all his stuff from scratch. She makes all his, basically she builds his toys and makes his crafts, and she's really engulfed herself in that and had that opportunity to be that, and that was an opportunity that you guys were able to create, which is awesome. Now again, I want to be clear that just because your kid goes to a daycare doesn't mean that you're not a prevalent parent. You are providing, right?
Right.
The question becomes, when you're home, are you becoming involved then, right? Mm-hmm. Or are you absent there as well? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's when you may be failing, but I'm not one to judge. I'm not one to say anything, right? It's all in how, one thing I say about being a father is people have met my son, and I've had people ask me like, wow, your son's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to be arrogant. Anyone who knows me and knows my son, they ask me that, and simply said, I'm always like, listen, all I did was live in front of him. That's all I could do. My son saw me pull myself up from sleeping on a floor. Well, he didn't see that, but he knows the stories of when I first moved here. I had nothing. I'm sleeping on a floor. Slowly, gradually, I build myself up from basically like sleeping on a floor on Colfax, to everything I have now. Mm-hmm. And I just tell him, work hard, and he sees me work hard. He sees Jennifer work hard. He sees Jennifer going to college, getting her degrees. And so on the other side, he has the other side of his families, they live a different way. And I was just like, well, you can just pay attention is all I said, to pay attention. Mm-hmm. You see how they live, you see how we live. Decide, and you see what hard work can get you, right? And education, all that stuff. I was like, so you decide what life you want, and then you have to go work for it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to go get it. But just pay attention. And so he did. And I was shocked, all the things he achieves now. He was over at the house on Friday because he actually just accepted a job. I don't know if I told you.
Yeah.
So he got a job. He's 22 years old, and he got a job for $40,000, working 30 hours a week. That's it.
Gosh.
And I'm like, $40,000. I didn't see that till I was like 28, maybe 30, and even then it was like, it was like, oh my God. Now $40,000 isn't a lot now, but still, I mean, for a 22-year-old who's still, finishing up his second degree. But where he was talking and he was kind of reminiscing and he was throwing out all these sayings that I had. And I was like, I don't remember saying half of that.
Yeah.
But I just talk kind of like we do on this podcast.
Yeah.
And he just latched on to specific things that he said, meant something or really hit home and gave him like the guidance to become the person who he is. So I thought that was really cool. So my advice as far as being a father is, understand that they're always watching.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, the one time, remember when we were kind of talking, I wouldn't say talking trash, but we were complaining about somebody, a family member. And we were downstairs, he's upstairs, he's like 8 or 10. He's he's not, we're like, well, even if he hears us, he's not going to know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Whatever. You start to, dude, let me be clear.
What's going
Let me
on?
tell you, since you're
Break it down for me.
since you're your son's still Tyler.
Yeah.
Kids know more than you think they know, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're like, oh man, 4 years old, they don't know what's going on, and and you're like kissing in front of them or whatever, or you're making little innuendos like, they don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Even like as they get older, you're like making little jokes, and you think, they're not picking that up.
Yeah.
They're picking it up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So Jalem, out of nowhere, he comes down the stairs, and we're thinking first of all, we thought he couldn't hear us, and if he did, we didn't think he would care or know, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, Daddy, we're like, what's up, son? When you guys think I can't hear you, I can hear you.
Oh.
And I looked at Jennifer, we're like, oh,
yeah.
And then like from there on, we started to be very mindful, right?
Yeah.
And we were like, man, like you just, cause you're kind of like, it's my house.
Yeah.
I gotta say what I say and whatever.
These my walls.
Right. And you have to be cognizant that your kids are paying attention, right? So that could be good or bad. Mm-hmm. So you can't be a character. In this world, we are a character. Some people are characters. Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about this with a friend of ours, right? But that's another subject. Yeah. But you're a character when you go to work.
Yeah.
potentially you put that hat on, you're that guy.
Yeah.
Right. You're a character around your friends. You put your hat on, you're that guy.
Yeah.
You're a character. Sometimes you're a character at home to the ones you love. Right.
Yeah.
But if you can find a way to walk the line and walk the talk and be this same guy, maybe you speak a little different. Okay. Case in point, people see me at the gym. I'm a little more relaxed when I'm around my friends. A lot more vulgar language because I'm around my friends. I'm a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
At the gym, I'm still professional, but I'm at the gym. When I used to work, very professional. So people, when they'd see me casually, they were kind of shocked who I was casually. Not different person.
Yeah.
Different dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Same person.
Yeah.
But if you can figure out who you need to be and who you are, really,
Yeah.
you can live that way and be that person in front of your children.
Yeah.
And then they can either be inspired by it or reel against it. Hopefully they don't reel against it if you're, and I can't even say that. I was going to say if you're doing it the right way, but who am I to say what the right way is?
Yeah.
You're doing it as best you can.
Yeah.
And all you can do is hope, because 4 kids in my family and my dad, this is my dad.
Yeah.
You know what, boy? I don't know why you the only one that got any goddamn sense, right? And that's just because my sisters think different.
Yeah.
Now, and sometimes I don't get there, but they do well. My sisters are successful, but I'm like, it took them a little longer to get there than me. But I was just kind of like wired a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw my childhood a certain way, and I saw all the lessons, but they saw it a different way.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that. I had to learn perspective. Right. Their perspective versus my perspective, how they saw their childhood, how I saw my childhood.
Yeah.
And I didn't, for the longest time, I used to go off on them. I'm like, I don't understand. We're raised in the same house. Why you guys act a fool like that? And I didn't get it. So you could do your best, and it could be taken a totally different way by your children.
Yeah, it can.
But so don't try to be a character and do all these things. And because first of all, your true self will always be revealed especially to your kids, your family, your wife, whatever.
You live in the same house.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, so your true character always be revealed. So just, man, you got to just be you. Now when you're being you, you got to assess, am I a good person?
That's
am I
right.
a bad person?
Yeah.
And can I be better?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have to go do that. You have to go be better. You know what I'm saying? So break it down for me, man.
I think for me, and I 100% agree with you, because I think when you have, for example, when we had our son, Bo, I didn't think that I could love any other human as much as I did Angie. Not to say that I didn't love her less. It was just that it was that same level of love that I had for someone else. That was our child, created from between us. And so having that, and then we kind of just knew, it just kind of flipped gears in our head. We got to do our best and just put our best foot forward. That's the least we can do, because ultimately what we reflect out of how I interact with Angie, because I have to be I have to be that guy. I absolutely have to be that guy, but I want to be that guy to show Bo, how do you love a woman?
Oh, yes.
And the affection and things like that, and being able to show that. And so he is already an affectionate child.
Well, and how do you, exactly, man, how to treat a woman.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I've always heard this, women marry their fathers, right?
Yeah.
And that's because they see how their father treats their mother, and they feel like that's normal. I'm going to veer into a dangerous subject as far as abuse, right? But if you saw your mother being verbally yelled at or physically abused, if you're in a relationship where someone is like that, you don't see a problem per se.
Exactly.
You think, okay, well, I guess all relationships like that, this is what my parents were like.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you're the one person that says, no, you know what? No, that shouldn't be. It was that was a toxic relationship, or maybe you've learned that.
Yeah.
But to your point, when Nessa was being born, I read a pamphlet, and it said, treat your mom, treat your mother, your child's mother, the way you want them to want to be treated, right? So I want my daughter to want to be treated, to have expectations, right? To want to be treated a certain way.
Yep.
So I have to show her how a man properly treats a woman. You have to show your son how to properly treat a woman.
That's right.
And so that he doesn't think he's, and he's in a bad husband or bad boyfriend, whatever the case, right?
Right.
So I'm glad you touched on that. But
man.
Please continue.
Yeah, no, that's what it is, man. Because now with us coming up, and me and Angie talk about this all the time, how, I just appreciate her feeding into Bo, and she does the Montessori type teachings.
Yeah, man. That's so impressed with all that stuff.
Very hands-on, and we read in books every single night. And so we do the things that, that we just want to make sure that Bo is set up for success. Like, and then, whatever decisions he makes,
right.
we just want him to at least have the basic foundation of being respectful, being kind, being passionate about something, following through on things.
Core values.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Being respectful to your elders,
right.
Things like that. So
you want to equip them with the core values that you believe in, right?
Yep.
And you gotta hope it sticks.
Yeah.
There are no guarantees, brother.
There's no guarantees.
No guarantees. Like
no
you
guarantees.
can do the best. Man, some people we know come from like decent households, and you're like, how did you get so twisted up?
Why
right?
are you tripping?
Yeah. And then you got to take into account other influences.
Yeah.
Like for me, I was always blessed to have good friends in my life.
Yeah.
Right. No really bad influences. I knew people who had bad influence. And my mom said this about me. She said, Radcliffe, you were always good at picking the right friends, right? And so I was very fortunate. But I know because you got to understand, like when you get to a certain age, then you don't want to hear about from your parents anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to your dumbass friends, because they know something or you just want to be part of whatever the reason you're going to listen to these fools, or maybe they're a good influence. But I was very fortunate. So in those moments, the best way I was able to handle that with my son, who's a grown man, I like to use an example because I'm still, Nessa, is just we keep an open dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my mom was like that. I couldn't talk to my dad. My dad's old school, like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like, what do you, yes, sir. Absolutely. I just do what I'm told. There's times he tried to be casual. I think he was trying to fit into that role, but we were his first kids. Yeah. Right. Sheila and I were, and then we had two younger ones, and then he got way too nice. And he's like, I just got old, son. Like, he's down, like, we talk. I was like, we talk?
Yeah.
I was like, you put your foot in my ass. Like, he was like, well, I'm older. That was his answer. I'm older. And I'm like, okay. And I think there's a good balance between the two. I don't know your feelings, whoever's listening, on corporal punishment. But listen, man, I'm very self-disciplined. I'm very disciplined. And my parents put hands on me when I did something really bad. And I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
My parents didn't just haul off and they told me what I was getting whooped for.
Oh, yeah.
While I was getting whooped. Yeah. It was like, and then I remember taking a beating. And then it was like, and remember what I said, boy. I didn't hear anything over the screaming. I was like, but yes, sir. I get the gist of it. I understand what I did wrong. Yeah. It's not like they came home and just like hit me. No, man. It was like, but, and it just kind of put, I don't know, a consequence, right?
Yeah.
And fear and discipline, like where you, I don't know. I don't know if we should be talking about it. I don't want my parents, but how could you talk about that and tell people I whooped you? Because and that was the generation. Now it's like some of these kids, man, like I saw some video where this kid he's in his father's face. It's online, and he's cussing and screaming in his father's face, and the dad's just like calmly trying to talk him down. I'm like, boy, I would have snatched him by the neck, man. Like, I fortunately haven't. I think one time each, I've touched my children. Yeah, one time each.
Yeah,
I just didn't have to. Yeah, I really spoke to Jalen like a man, even when he was like 8. Yeah, I remember thinking back like. Later on, he kind of teased me about it. I'm talking to him about accountability when he's 8 years old. And he was like, I didn't even know what that word meant. Yeah. But I always spoke to him that way. Yeah. And I never spoke down to him like he was an idiot. Mm-hmm. And I just kept talking to him like that his whole life. Yeah. And it just seemed to work. Yeah. My daughter, same. I'm just big and scary too. I'm a scary man. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but not really. I can be scary. But, so they just, I don't know, man. There's a way that I communicate that I found works for me. Yeah. So as much as I taken what my parents did, which I know worked, it worked on me, but didn't work with all of us, right? But I felt it worked. So I took those lessons, but then I decided to approach it in the way that I felt as a leader, because I was a leader in my job, leader in my community, stuff like that. So how did I put those two together? And that's how I grew into the parent that I am, right? And parent that I was for my son. But that said, if you don't want to speak on it, your mom might listen to this or anything did you get whooped? And how do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, we absolutely had our fair share, man. I mean, thinking about it being an adult now, but when you're like in the heat of the moment, it's like, this is the greatest violation in humankind. Like me and Superman are out of here. Right, like we're gone. But thinking about it now, and then when I did get spankings, it was like, yeah, Justin, you messed up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You knew why.
You shouldn't have dumped the flour on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have did that.
Right.
Or, you know.
Or clean up the mess, or you shouldn't have touched that.
Yeah. Or poop my pants. Like, it'd be scenarios like that.
Wet the bed, you know, and you've been wetting it all week, and you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, it's real. It's real. So, yeah, my mom definitely spanked us our fair share. But there was a point where she did stop doing that. I can't remember. I don't know if it was probably after elementary. It feels like it's after elementary.
I feel like
stopped.
High school, I think I got smacked in the back of the head twice.
Yeah,
in high
it's
school.
really pinching and
it was like and I had to really do something for that because it got to the point where my dad was I say I'm scary, man.
Yeah,
my dad's ask anyone who grew up with me. My dad is the most gentle person you will ever meet, the most generous, loving man. He is a scary man though. Yeah, that is a scary dude. He used to just get in my face and I start shaking. When I was a teenager, he'd get up in my face and I look at I didn't know where to look because if you look him in the eye, you're challenged. So I'm looking at the floor, I'm looking around the room.
Yeah,
what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
what's wrong with you, boy?
Yeah,
you know, but. You know, that I love that man more than anything in this world. Like, I swear to God, like that man is an angel brought down onto this earth to guide me, right?
Yeah,
and to keep showing me how to live. But anyway, but yeah, man, like I think we got too big, maybe.
I think we did.
I think we got too big. They're like, I can't be putting my hands on this grown ass man anymore. Yeah, he's too big.
He be done thrash me,
right? but yeah, I mean. I don't know. I think that I don't see you or Angie ever like a little pop on the butt, but it may happen.
Oh,
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of do it to this day.
Oh yeah, you got to smack the head.
Yeah, so Bo has been challenging us lately. Like he has been.
This is the age.
This is the age.
2.5.
No, he's about to be 19 months.
Okay, so he's gonna be. Yeah, he's gonna be 2 here soon. Yep, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah,
it's gonna, and then when 2 happens, then he's got because Bo's got a voice. Bo already has a voice, right?
Yeah.
But he's very sweet. But come 2,
man,
and it's to your point, Shank.
Yeah,
they're testing limits, right?
Yes, they are.
So you have to set the tone.
So we're setting the tone. So we've been battling. You know, like stomp the yard. You know, we're battling. Shoot, I battle, but no, man. Yeah, Bo's been doing it to us and. So we just been disciplining him just by being very clear, like, no, do not do this, or no, do not touch that. But sometimes he'll get a little physical because Bo's starting to swing. And
smack back. Because and what I had to learn about that was, you challenging me, boy?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Throat slams.
What was the one Kevin Hart when she was like, that juice? And he was like, don't you ever talk to me like that. And his daughter's like 2 years old asking for juice.
Yeah.
I was cracking me up because the first few times you're like, you square up. You're like, what?
Yeah.
But what I had to learn was when Nessa was getting all ornery, I popped her on the butt one time or like a couple times. I was like, pulled her over my knee. And then I realized she has no idea why she's even getting spanked right now.
No idea.
So it's, there's a moment, you have to like immediately address it immediately. But at the same time, it's like they're learning how to communicate.
Yeah, they are.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to your point, testing limits. Case in point, Jalen went through a phase where he started calling me Rad. And when he was like 2 or 3, because 3 maybe, and he started hearing people call me Rad. So he would call me Rad, and his other family thought it was cute, and they were, I think it's cute. It's not cute. So I'd always correct him. Correct him. Daddy.
His daddy.
Or father.
Yeah. Father.
I'm his dad. And I had to say that. Ain't got no cheese, boy.
Get out of here.
You got bologna and bread. So
go on, get.
So he would, I was like, I'm his dad.
Yeah.
Not going to call me by my first name. And then I had to understand that the reason, again, is because he hears everyone else calling me that. So the one thing you have to consider is they are finding their way. But it is a very important time to set the tone. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But you don't have to be so stern, right? Which I know you guys have a perfect balance. I see the way you and Angie, you guys are amazing parents, and I'm really proud of you guys.
Man.
Yeah, no, for real. And so you're heading into that area, though. You're heading into that time where the cute, still cute. And they're going to be cute for a while before they get stinky, especially boys. And then when they get stinky, then you gotta find that cute.
Yeah, you do.
You gotta search for that cute. You gotta dig for it. They be in the car and you'd be like, I remember the times I would just chew this. I would just give him gum. I'd roll windows down. I'm like, damn, did you brush your teeth? And because we joked on a previous podcast about how funky we were.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, for me, it didn't register when my parents were telling me I was funky. It was when somebody in like a kid at school said something.
Like, you stink.
Yeah. Or like girls started noticing things. You were like, oh, because your parents are just mean. You're so mean to me. So when I was complaining to my parents about my son, my dad's like, boy, you act like you were clean. You act like you didn't smell.
Oh,
and I was like, and I just got quiet. I was like, well, yeah. I remember my mom got so mad one time. She threw me in the shower, and I was like, I wasn't little, man. I was like, I'm thinking I was 14, but maybe
she
not.
She was like, oh.
And she like scrubbed me.
Yeah,
like I was like I was a prisoner, like when they used a fire hose. And she was like, you stink. You stink. And she was scrubbing like skin off my body, dude. And I was so embarrassed. And I'm trying to because I'm like, my mom, I don't think my mom had seen me naked in a couple years. Like, and I think I was preteen at that point, and it's just embarrassing. And, and that kind of sunk in for me. Like,
she's like, "You stink, boo boo."
Yes,
you stink.
And then I really became like cognizant of my hygiene from there, And then but there's not a boy, or honestly, or a girl. Like, they get over it quicker. Girls get over it quicker because Nessa's phase was only maybe like a year and a half, and then I felt like my son was like going for a while.
Like, we about to do this.
Where honestly, when he was about to go into the military, I was like, thank God, because he will learn.
He will learn. He'll learn.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, they gonna get him right.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited for your journey, brother.
Thank you, man.
I am, man.
Yeah.
That said, that we wanted to touch on that subject a little bit, and it won't be the last time we talk about fatherhood, because we're fathers, man. It's something we're going to talk about, right?
It's a permanent job.
It is a permanent.
Actually, I asked Bo the other day. I was like, "Can I put some PTO in, some personal time off?" And he looked at me. You better get my cheese.
Do you remember that commercial where the guy comes into the babies and the baby's just playing in the crib, and he's like, "Listen, Johnny, I just can't. I can't make it in today." And he's all blowing his nose. He's like, I'm really not feeling well. So I'm gonna have to take the day. And the baby looks so confused, and he closes the door. And like, don't you wish you can take sick days?
Oh my gosh, man! It's a battle. It's a sacrifice, man. It's a sacrifice that you gotta want it. You know what I mean? For sure. And if you are interested in your child's development, you're going to work.
Well, yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you're going to stay up late. You're going to read those books. You're going to make sure that they understand something.
Yeah.
And that's the sacrifice.
Well, here's the thing. Be willing to learn, to what you said. There was a few situations when Jalen was a teenager that I wasn't quite sure. I had an opinion on the matter.
Yeah.
But I went online and read some psychiatrists and stuff like that explaining, like, what it might mean, what he was doing, and how to handle it, and how you address it. And again, then talking to friends and who had kids around the same age, and just getting advice, and then forming a better, a more educated approach. Right? It's the more you know, but not acting as though I have all the answers.
That's right. That's right.
And that's the mistake I think some people make, is like, oh, well, either through the way they were raised or how they view themselves, it's my way or the highway.
Yep.
I know more than you because you're a child. So just cuz.
Yeah.
I will say this: my dad never did, as much as he dropped knowledge on me and dropped the hammer on me. He definitely always gave me an answer. There was times he would like, "That's a dumbass question, boy."
Yeah.
But then he would like still answer, like, but I didn't fear asking questions, right? But he would give me an answer, and I always thought my dad was the smartest person in the world because he always had an answer to every question I had. I was like, wow. And it's funny now, because my daughter mentioned that a couple weeks ago. It doesn't matter what she asked me, I kind of know the answer, or I'll look it up, because I always want to have the answers, because I felt like my parents, when my dad did that, he never just said because I said so. You knew why you were getting a whooping. You knew why you were in trouble. You knew why that was bad.
Oh yeah,
right. And it was his opinion of why it was bad. Oh yeah. But it was still a decent. He's a good man, so it was a decent explanation. It wasn't just because I said so.
Yep.
When you do that, then the curiosity breeds. And anyway, it's just not a good way to do it. So to your point, man. Make sure you're educating yourself as you go.
Oh yeah.
And in that sense, you can grow as a parent. Jennifer brought this. Yeah, Jennifer brought this up. I wrote a book years ago, which I don't want anyone to read because I was in a different headspace. It's not bad, but I used to blog about being a father, right? And so I took all these blog posts and I made a book and I released it. And hit or miss. But it's a little more vulgar. I think that some of the message is the same, right? But I did grow a lot and at that time, I think my son was a teenager and my daughter was really young, maybe 4. And so I was thinking, I had some answers, and I didn't have all the answers. This is my take on being a husband, being a father, and so forth. So then she found that book in the closet on Friday, and she wanted to read it, and I said no. And she said, why? And I said, because I don't think I have the same beliefs.
Wow.
The core of my person is in that book.
Yeah.
But I've grown so much. I'd say the growth I've experienced in the last 10 years, and specifically the last 5, and very specifically the last 2, have grown me into like this person that I view as the best version of myself right now.
I love
it.
I love it.
So I don't, I didn't even I read a couple paragraphs, kind of chuckled, and I was like, oh, and it's still kind of there, right? Because as we grow and change, I don't lose the core of who I am. Right? But I can be a better version of that. And so it's like more like, nah, man, this is 2.0 or 3.0, maybe 4.0. I'm from the 40s, right? 4. But I don't want you to go back and read something from 3.0. Right, because the data's corrupted or it's outdated.
It's been aged.
Right. So that said, that comes with what you're talking about. If you're learning and growing, then you'll continue to grow, and you grow with your child.
Oh yeah.
If you're doing it right, you grow with your child.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes firstborn, firstborn, that's the problem. Now, why do you think that is? Because the parents are growing up with that first one. Then you've got a bit of the answers. You got a little cheat sheet going into the second child, right?
Then that turns out a little solid.
And that's not a guarantee.
Guaranteed.
Jalen was the firstborn, and Jalen's great. So there's no,
amazing.
but I do see where that whole thing comes from, right?
Oh yeah. Well, plus you can approach conversations with your children very strategically.
Yeah.
Because you cannot go into a situation where, for example, they're doing something that could be like, what the heck are you doing? Or why are you doing that? Or why are you leaving this in your room? Or whatever the case may be. Instead of embarrassing them on that or whatever the case is, like what you said, I'm gonna ask other parents. I'm gonna figure this out. And then when you go and circle back with your child to have that conversation, it's much more on an even playing ground of understanding. And they'll be more open and receptive to you.
Arm yourself, man. Arm yourself with in anything you are dealing with. Arm yourself with knowledge and make an educated decision, or an informed decision. I say this to my kids. I was like, make an informed decision. Don't just take the first thing you hear. Arm yourself with information, and then make an informed decision. Now you can feel more confident in that decision because you just didn't fire from the hip, right?
Yeah.
You took aim, and then you took your shot. All right, so enough serious stuff. Fatherhood advice and all that stuff. Take it or leave it. That's just our knowledge. So we for this episode, what we're gonna do is we're gonna fire this. We're gonna go ahead and toss it back over to Jennifer for what we call a random segment. So Jennifer is just gonna give us a random topic that we can kind of just chat about, and just kind of chop it up. Let's see Jennifer, what do you have for us today?
I have a question for you.
Okay.
What actor would you like to have portray you in a movie about your life?
Oh my God. Justin.
Somebody.
It's funny when people ask you a question like that. People are like Denzel. Like it's always something sexy. I don't see that, man. Now, my first answer, just because of the complexion of my skin and my bald head, I would say The Rock, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll encapsulate my being, right? So, man, that is a good question, dude.
Let me think. So immediately, I would say Will Smith.
I can see that.
I would say Will Smith.
I can see that, dude.
Will Smith, I feel like he would embody a certain
Okay, so don't take this the wrong way, but we've been watching in Community over again. Yeah. And if you watch the first season of Community, I see Donald Glover playing you.
Donald Glover?
Yeah, from Atlanta or...
oh my gosh, Donald Glover. Yeah. Childish Gambino.
And it's just because... but it's specifically that character that he plays.
Yeah.
The character Troy. There's just mannerisms that remind me of you. Not all of them. But yeah. So that's why. But I can see Will Smith. I can see that. Yeah.
Shout out to
you aim
Willie,
for
man.
You shoot for the moon, man.
Nah, man, Will Smith's my guy,
Now,
man.
the story of your life.
Yeah.
Would it be like a heartfelt drama like The Blind Side, like overcoming things? Would it be a comedy? Would it be an action adventure?
I think it would be on some like level of like Pursuit of Happiness type stuff.
Okay. That's deep.
But it be, not me raising Bo by myself, but like focusing on something that was such a pivotal moment in my life and highlighting it in there and how I persevered through it and, then where I am today. And that's kind of probably what I would want Will to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that was like still hailed as his best performance. So
Right. That's something I probably would want that to be captured.
Dude, it's so funny because you are. I think it is Will Smith. Like you used to do all these like Will Smith impersonations, like, or was it Denzel? There was times that you would do these.
I tried Denzel.
Yeah, you did Denzel once, but I remember at Will Smith, you'd always kind of like quote lines from the movies and stuff. So I don't know. You might be biased, man.
I might be biased. Because I talk about him a lot. Yeah. What about you?
Man, listen. Nobody wants to, like, I would definitely say mine to be like hyper dramatic, right? Like my upbringing, all my medical stuff, like everything I've been through, but no one's ever going to look at their life and be like, yo, man, it would be a good comedy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you could look at things that way, like through that lens, that would be funny. Like, I'm sure there's parts of my life, like you could make it erratic and make it funny, right?
Yeah.
Anything could be turned into that just to kind of bring laughter into, for people. But definitely dramatic. It would definitely be something deep and heartfelt. But I really don't know. Like, if we go by just the way I look, right? I'm going to say it again. It'd be Dwayne Johnson, right?
It would have.
And I know people are like, but listen, man, that comparison has happened more than once. But that said, from the acting perspective, I love The Rock, but The Rock is The Rock in every movie. He's not going to do any deep acting, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. I don't want him to. That's not what I go see his movies for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So, okay, if I throw look out, like the where they have to kind of look like
match.
If I throw that out the window, geez, dude, I don't know. That is a really hard question.
That's tough.
Because I guess if he's a good actor, then they can act like me.
They can act like you.
So it really doesn't matter.
Jen, what would you? Who would you say?
Yeah, your life story.
For myself?
Yeah.
For yourself.
I have no idea. The only person that I have been compared to is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, we've heard that. Like,
I think Angie recently said that because we were watching the Iron Man.
Yeah,
and it was
we just watched
the one
that
where
as
we
well.
cried at the movie theater together. Endgame. Was it Endgame?
Oh my God, dude, you're gonna yes, we cried. Yeah,
we all cried.
Man, I forgot we were crying.
Yeah, man.
Because I remember at Deadpool, we were just. But yes, I forgot we cried.
Yeah,
and
we cried.
I was trying so hard, and Jennifer was handing me napkins. I was all, okay, man, I'm I'm trying not to. Man, yeah, whatever, dude. But real men cry.
We were watching. That's absolutely true.
I totally forgot.
So we were watching that movie, and Angie just said out of nowhere when Tony was sitting in his cabin with his with Gwyneth. And Angie was like, man, she reminds me a lot of Jen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, and this was just recently.
Yeah.
So I would say Gwyneth Paltrow as well.
Listen, man, that is the truth. Like when Jennifer and I first started dating in like 2001, people were telling her back because Gwyneth Paltrow was really big back then too.
Yeah.
Like, people were always saying that. Like it's just there's facial features and all that stuff.
And the voice.
And the voice.
I think
Yeah. That's what gets it.
Yeah.
Are you Gwyneth Paltrow in another life?
Maybe.
Well, listen, man. So you guys get kind of locked in. I still can't figure this out. Like,
yeah, we need to figure
like,
you
what
out.
do you think? Like,
man.
who would play me? I can't see anyone. Like, I'd probably be
I
that.
got it.
Who?
I got it.
All right, break it down.
So you guys know Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Key?
You are Key. Key is you.
I mean, if Key hit the gym a little bit.
Is Key.
I mean, you know what? Yeah,
Yes.
I think it would be Key.
I can see that.
I think it's Key.
Oh my God, dude. Now he'd have to bulk up a little bit.
Yeah, he had to eat.
But studio will cover him for that. They'll get him a trainer. They'll give him a budget for like a nutritionist, and
You're Key. You're Key.
Dang, man.
Am I on or am I on?
You're on.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, I can never see him the same now.
Yeah.
I'll never see him the same now. I'll constantly man.
Because if I remove the physical and I focus on your
Mannerisms.
your mannerisms and your character and your jokes,
Yeah.
it's freaking Key.
Well, and if you have
your freaking key.
I can see it now too. I can even see like when he talks serious. I've seen him when he speaks seriously. Like
I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's key.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? Bullseye, man.
Yeah.
Bullseye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Dang, Jennifer, that was a good one, man.
Yeah.
So
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's kind of the last thing we were going to talk about on this episode. Unless you got a story to tell. I always like your stories.
No.
How's your butthole?
So update, right? We're 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're going in the week 4 here, gents, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the situation. I just had to hit my doctor up because the dingleberryness is still there. So you kind of, there's something sitting in between.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt. So I messaged my doctor and told her the situation, let her know, hey, nothing really changed in terms of size. It went down for a little bit, and I feel like it's back to the normal size. And so she prescribed something. So I went and got it yesterday, and I have to do this for 7 days.
Can I interject for a second? So are you looking at it so much that you know what the normal size? There's a normal size.
I'm not looking at it.
Picture.
Yeah, I'm touching it, and I got a picture. Yeah. But I'm touching it. So because I soak it, every night. In the tub.
Yeah.
And, I gotta open the cheeks up so the water can get in there.
Okay.
Let that Epsom salt.
So you're aware of what
you're
like normal. Okay.
You
would know if it was getting smaller.
Oh
Did you
yeah.
do a virtual appointment with your doctor?
Good question.
No, so she said that. So do this prescription cream for 7 days, and then if it doesn't go away, she says she needs to see me. So, because she wants to rule some things out, and then I'm pretty sure the next thing will probably be her cutting it. And,
geez, dude,
and taking it. Yeah.
Well, I hope
it could be that.
Yeah. Well, there's no pain, so I'm hoping that. I'm hoping the medication.
My booty hole. Happy holidays.
I'm hoping that the medication works the way it is.
So I'm hoping the medication hits
of all
first.
the thing for prayer, it's like all the things I've prayed for people. Just like pray for my butthole. Please watch over. Okay. Man, I can't believe we're talking about this.
Yeah.
So going to the bathroom is not a problem.
No, man, they ain't a problem. Like literally, it just feels like a dingleberry.
Oh wow!
Like that's the craziest thing. And sometimes, occasionally, it itches.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, there's something in there.
Yeah, there's something in there.
Itch, yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Those are the symptoms. And so she, the doctor was like, "Oh, you're so young, so this is common." So do this for 7 days. If not, I need to see you.
I keep hearing that, like, common.
It's common.
And then, like, we were talking to other people, like, I had one. I'm like, dude, to me, that was so rare. And honestly, when I was, like, younger, I always assumed old people had hemorrhoids because they were the runs and shows and stuff were like, here's your hemorrhoid pillow.
Yeah.
And it was like that donut. So I always just thought as you got older,
it's an older
maybe
thing.
Things just fell out the bottom a little bit.
I wonder what is the average percent of people that gets hemorrhoids?
Research. Tech support.
I'm curious about that. Did we talk about this?
I think Jennifer spit out some statistics in that podcast. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did. If you recall, roughly 1 in 20 people, or 50% of people over the age of 50, have hemorrhoids.
See, for her to say that it's normal because you're young, that's why that sounds weird to me, man.
Oh, maybe she's trying to make me.
Dude,
feel
she's
good.
lying to you, bro.
I just think about how many people that live with that, and they just don't tell anyone.
I wouldn't tell anyone.
Really?
Okay, I would tell someone. I'd tell Jennifer.
Like, please look at it. Okay, just get doggy style, please.
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah. Man, like, I did that whole thing, like, when I was turning 40, I was so afraid of, what's the one where they check prostate exam?
Oh.
And so then I was like, because when I was in my 20s, I had a couple older friends, and they were like, it was when I sold insurance, and they were older insurance agents. They were like, man, wait till, because I had come back from a physical or something. And they were like, wait till you get in your 40s, and they got to start doing prostate exams. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, when you get into your 40s, they have to.
Yeah.
And so I was constantly dreading that, right? So go in, turn 40, go for that. And he's like, no, you're good. I was like, oh, we don't have to do. He's like, no, we take a look at your blood, and everything else looks good, so there's no need. Wow. I was like, oh, okay, thank God, technology.
Yeah,
right?
Technology, man.
The term for hemorrhoids has really increased on a search in Google. So in 2013, nearly 120,000 people searched for hemorrhoids. The term hemorrhoids. Compared to in 2004, it was 40,000 times weekly.
That's an interesting statistic. Is it the food?
What is going on?
I'm gonna. My guess is two things, right? Food,
yeah.
Right? Poor diet, right? Obesity hasn't got better.
Yep.
Which I don't know if that's a factor, but
or
sedentary lifestyle, sitting down, right?
Or
inactivity.
The generation that uses Google is getting older, so they're searching. There's more people searching for it.
Check out the brains on Jen.
Ooh, I like where you're going, Julie-san.
Jen, that actually makes more sense. And I thank you for being the most intelligent person in the room.
Thank you Obviously, for your contributions you're the one to with society.
Right. You're the one with 2 degrees and I'm a college dropout. That's why it works. That's why this relationship works.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, we'll stick around, man. I'll let you guys know what it looks like.
Yes, if you are listening to this podcast strictly for these updates, then Shanko promises to keep you updated.
I got you.
And then we'll make sure we have something else to cover.
Yeah.
Or uncover.
Yeah. Oh, touche!
I don't even know if that was funny, guys. We're just having fun. Anyway. That concludes this podcast. Shank, you got anything else you want to say to the audience?
Man, appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
All right, and next week, or one of these weeks, we're gonna have one of our episode we're gonna try to do where we're gonna have Shank's wife Angie on. So we'll have a couples episode where it's gonna be the 4 of us kind of talking about couples type stuff. So I think those episodes are gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm thinking next week, but as we were talking about fatherhood. Finding a babysitter and those kind of things come into, unless maybe we just, I don't know, have Shank in the back.
Should we shoot later?
Maybe, or Bo just is in the background and we just, hey man, have we talked about fatherhood?
Yeah, okay. Because we got to get that nap in.
You're right.
We got to get that nap.
So, that concludes this episode, guys. Again, it's what Shank said. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate the support if you are listening. And if you enjoy it, tell your friends, man.
Yeah.
Tell your friends about me.
Yeah. Tell your friends about me.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, you have a great week and we'll see you next week.
All right.